I will try to. Oh, it is. Okay, thank you. Let's start then with where we left last time. We are at the end of the chapter number 6. Arjuna Uvacha. These were his questions, and we stopped at these questions. Ayatih shraddhayo peto yogat chalita manasah aprapya yoga samsiddhim kam gatim Krishna gacchati. Ayatih, the one who is not doing yoga. Shraddhaya upeta, but has a faith, so to say. Or Ayatih can be translated the one who is not in control of himself, but has faith, as many of us here in this life are. We are not in control of ourselves, but we have a faith and we believe in some higher purpose or meaning of life. Yoga chalita manasah, whose mind is fallen from yoga. Aprapya yoga satsiddhim, and having not reached to the perfection of yoga, or to the realization of yoga. Kam gatim Krishna gacchati. What path is he going to? Where is he going? One second.
Right.
Kachit no bhayavi bharashta chinna bharam ivanashyati aprapya mahabaho apratishta mahabaho pramudhah brahmanah pati etan me samshayam Krishna chetum arhasi asheshatah tvadanyah samshayasyasya cheta na yupapadhyate. There is a print here, and it has to be corrected. Okay, these 3 shlokas are the question of Arjuna. Let me translate them again. Kachit ubhaya vibharashta, being lost on the both of paths. Lost in between the worlds, as it were, between the spiritual perception and between this worldly life. Chinna bharami vanashyati, he vanishes like the cloud in the sky. Apratishto, he is not steady, mahabaho, or strong-armed. Vimudhah, he is bewildered, brahmanah pati, on the path of Brahman. Etam me samshayam Krishna chetum arhasi asheshatah. This, my you must resolve for me, literally cut off from me. Vadan yak samshayasyasya, because of this doubt, there is no better remover than you in this world. So, he upapadhyate. There is no available better remover of this doubt than you. If nobody can, if you cannot say what it is, then who else will say how it is?
Right.
So what does he want to know? Well, let us figure out. Maybe my translation was not very clear. But did you figure out what he wants to know? Does it really ring the bell in you? Do you have this ringing? It's me. It's about me, he wants to ask. And he wants to ask about himself, of course. Ayati, who is not in control of himself, but full of faith, Shraddhaya upeta, Yogat Chalita Manasa, whose mind was drifting away from yoga, was not staying in yoga all the time. It found some other interesting things to do or to experience. Aprapya yoga samsiddhim, having not realized the perfection or the realization of yoga, kam gatim Krishna gacchati. What path is he following? Where does he go?
Right.
Where do we all go?
Right.
Because Ubhaya Vibharashta, the one who is lost on the both of paths, he is like a cloud, kachit abharam iva chinna, the kind of cut off by the wind, disappearing, nashyati, perishes. As a cloud in the sky, he perishes and dissolves. He has no path, nowhere to go. He is lost in between the worlds. Apratishtha, without establishment, without the foundation. Mahabaho, vimudha, bewildered on the path of Brahman. Brahmanah pathi. And this is the doubt I have. What will happen to him? Etan me samshayam Krishna, this my doubt of Krishna, chetumarahasi, you must cut off asheshatah, without the remainder. I don't want any doubtful talking. I don't want some philosophy. Just tell me exactly what is happening. Tvadanyah samshayasyasya chetanahyupapadiyate, because there is no better the resolver of this doubt than you in this world. So it's quite clear what he wants, no?
So interesting that really just by removing the doubt, your actions, then you become on the, is it true? Like if you just remove the doubt, then you're on the path anyway. I mean, because your actions are of, if they're truly guided by the yoga, and there's no doubt, then you're doing Dharma what you're supposed to be doing.
Right.
So it's almost the doubt that you're doubting yourself that you're doing the right thing. I don't know. It's got to be something. There has to be a little bit more understanding other than just removing doubt.
Yeah, but here for the kshatriya, for the one who has this willpower, as Arjuna has, it is everything. He may decide and do as he is deciding. It's not the type of man who decides one thing and does another because he cannot.
Right.
It's not like we are. We decide one thing and do the other.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's a lot of that.
There was an instance of someone coming. Some boy came to Vivekananda and asked him, did you see God? I want to know one thing. God exists or not? Tell me this thing for truth. I just ask you this. And did you see God? Don't tell me that you know he exists. Don't tell me that you love him because he is somewhere in you, feels good when you love him. Don't tell me that. Tell me whether you saw him or not. And Vivekananda answered, I saw him better than I see you.
Right. Wow.
And that boy didn't ask any more questions and disappeared. And nobody knew where he disappeared, but after many years, they discovered him in Himalayas. He was ascetic in Himalayas. And many people said that he was already realized being. That is enough. He removed the doubt.
Right. 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 No, it certainly puts your, it puts your mind a little bit closer to that realization that some people just do go off into the mountains and pursue that. And here we try and do both. We try and sustain a position in society, and also try and find that same place. I mean, it's like having two jobs, you know. Yeah, it is
You know
having two.
what Jesus said about these who have two jobs. It's easier for the camel to go through the of the
Oh
needle.
yeah, the needle.
Right.
Yeah, right. The eye of a needle. Right.
Right, of the eye of the needle, than for the rich man to come to the kingdom of my Father.
Right.
Why? Because this is two jobs. They are not going to work. Sri Aurobindo said the same, that the having any other aim in life, any other preference than only one, to realize the divine, makes the success in this yoga impossible. Now,
Makes it impossible.
Right. Can you imagine that? Now, it's very close to the same question here of Arjuna. What about those who cannot really hold on to the one aim, who have some other preferences, and whose mind is not steady and deviates from yoga, and he's not in control of his nature? Will he vanish on this path without any result or something? Or is it dangerous for him to try to follow the path without following it? You see, more interesting angle. He wants to know.
And what if everybody that Arjuna was fighting against or with, what if they they all had the same realization as he did? Then what would happen? If they all came to that same point as him, they'd wind up looking at each other like, what are we doing?
Yeah, they would fight, of course.
Oh, okay.
Krishna is on the battlefield fighting the same way. Not removing him from this earthly work, but the consciousness will be very different. Free from.
Right, the actions are the same, but the consciousness is different. So
yeah, the actions are totally the same. From the outer look, you will not see the difference, but from the inner perception, there is total freedom and enjoyment of everything.
That's a very interesting illusion. I mean, if you think about that, it's like, okay, here is an enlightened man fighting an unenlightened man, or somewhere else on it, you have an enlightened man fighting an enlightened man, and both actions are still the same. Right. That's a very pondering thought.
Yeah. So the question was whether it is dangerous for someone who is not ready to control himself, who is not ready to follow yoga, to try to follow it, and without reaching the result, without realizing its perfection, to vanish somewhere. By the way, it is not always so in the first stages of yoga or in the traditional yoga, but in certain types of yoga, it may be very dangerous. By the way, Sri Aurobindo even says this in the conversations with Pavitra. He explains to him that if you would follow this path and would not succeed in it, your life will be wasted. And this is something to think of, it is not just a game or let me try and see what happens, because the more you try, you will have some results. and you will follow them, and then you will not follow them again, and will follow and not follow them, and you will be, in a way, kind of lost. And this is the question here. The question is about this, that you cannot really be one. And so what will happen?
Right, I understand that. Yep, because you you change your belief system and your actions, and then if you create some doubt, you can't go back to where you came from.
Exactly.
Absolutely right. Once you start, you can't go back because you've already started the journey, realizing that what you're doing is not right. So okay, let me take the steps and do that, and then it's almost like you reach a plateau of oh, this is nice, and then you try to experience both worlds, and it doesn't work. Yeah, one or the other.
Or you become a hypocrite. You preach something you do not live, or you live something you do not preach, or you do not how to say, think of.
Right.
And so you are splitting yourself and wasting your potential, which can be used. You can become a normal man, very good, engaged worker in life, and realize full potential of your soul, instead of pretending to be somebody you are not. This is a dangerous trip.
Right.
I met many such people in life. Many times I thought about myself that I'm not, how to say, deserve this knowledge, because I can feel that the knowledge is so much greater than you, that you can't feel that you deserve, that you really do something for it. It's rather grace which gives you this. But I've seen many hypocrites in my life, especially in Oroville. You can meet them. They're all pretending to be something they are not. And in my view, they are wasting their life.
Exactly.
It would be much better if they go into that world, Western world, and earn money, make their living, will be honest with their taxes, and so on and so forth, than to be stuck in between these two worlds.
Well, for me, Vladimir, since my mother took her last breath and had that, felt like I was touched by divine grace, I'm very much aware of, anger, greed, and lust. And if any of those three things are part of why I'm doing something, all of a sudden I become aware of it and say, am I doing the right thing if this is going to be the drive, if this is the goal? Because it's not a goal that can be achieved and be satisfied. It's something that's passing. So it's a little bit more of this middle road. For example, I thought I was going to be up here for 10 days and drive back, for Christmas. And here it is, Wednesday is going to be 3 weeks. And, I struggled with, I had expectations of things to get done. But as soon as I took the expectations out and said, what would it look like when I'm ready to go? It's like, oh, this would be in this place. This would be handled. The car would be packed. The trailer would be hooked up to the car. And I would go with a free mind. And so it's taken that much longer. So I was able to relax and settle into it and say, okay, that's what's going to happen. Otherwise, I'd get upset that this didn't work. I had to take care of that. I had to drive, 45 minutes one way to take care of one thing, drive back 45 minutes, so it kept the mind clear and settled. So I had to put that into practice a little bit. I mean, it's, in one sense, it's just trusting in those principles. If I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, I can't put an expectation on it or anything like that. It's just like when it feels right, then it's time. It's a little bit of a practice.
Yeah, a match of what you believe with what you do. Here, the answer to that, what happens to this man who is not following you,
good.
Totally, is very optimistic. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Partha Naivehana Mutra Vinashastasya Vidyate Nahi Kalyana Krit Kashid Durgatin Tata Gachati Prapya Punya Kritam Lokan Anush Lokan Ushitva Shashvatih Samach Shuchinam Shrimatam Gehe Yoga Bhrashto Bhijayate Athava Yoginam Kule. This is his answer. Bhavati Dhimatam Etadhi Durlabhataram Loke Janma Yadidrisham Tatratam Buddhisam Yogam Labhate Paurva Dehikam Yatate Chatato Bhuyah Samsiddhau Kurunandana. Okay, I read 4 shlokas. Now I will translate them. So Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, the blissful Lord, said, Partha, O Arjuna, na eva iha, neither here, na amutra, nor there, neither here nor there, vinashach, the disappearance, the perishing, tasya, of his, vidyate, is known. He is not perishing neither here nor there. Why is he saying neither here nor there? Also interesting.
Right.
He's pointing out to our physical, earthly existence and to our spiritual, soul existence.
Right.
Neither in physical terms nor in the spiritual terms there is no destruction, no vanishing. Nahi kalyana krit kashit, because there's someone who is doing well, doing good. Na hi durgatim tata gacchati. He indeed does not go into the bad path, into the wrongdoing, into the wrong path he cannot go. So if you tried and you failed, it is okay.
Right.
You just accumulate more force for the right doing, even if you fail. Somebody asked Vivekananda, but what will happen if in meditation, I will make a mistake and I come out of the body and die? What will happen then? Who will be responsible for my death? And Vivekananda said, well, it's better to die in meditation than in vanity and stupidity.
Right. Very good. Very good. Good one. That's a good answer. Yeah.
But here you see the limitations we put on ourselves immediately. Yeah? We
Right.
are
We jump.
worried. We are worried.
Right.
But this answer of Krishna is fundamental. Neither in this world nor in that world there is a destruction of this being.
That's a good answer.
Prapya punya kritam lokan ushitva shashvatih samach. And having reached the worlds or the families or the people of the well-doing, ushitva, and having left and having lived with them, dwelled with them, shashvatih samach, many years, shuchinam shrimatam gehe, in the house of the noble and pure, yoga bharashtah, the one who was lost on the path of yoga, abhijayate, will be born again. The yoga bharashta is the term which is used by all the yogins, the one who deviated from the path of yoga, or the one who lost, how to say, not the path of yoga, who consciously denied his path of yoga, who consciously deviated from the path, who decided, I am not going to do yoga anymore.
Right, right.
I knew such people, actually, yoga bharashtas. they lost their possibility for this life. In this life, they will never come to yoga again. Those who once decided that they leave the path of yoga, that there is no divine, that it is wrong, they will not be able to come back in
Wow.
this incarnation. But in the next, that's what he says.
Right.
You will be born there and you will live for many years in the house of those noble and this, and will be, as Yoga Bharashta, you will be born again in their house, but not in the same life.
Right. That enough should encourage you to keep going. You just maybe you need to take a pause and say maybe you need to take a vacation for a week and come back to it. But to totally abandon it, I can imagine. Well, for myself speaking, I could not imagine not being on this path. Granted, now I'm a little distracted with moving and everything that has happened, but it's temporary. It's temporary. I can see my mind, a month or so away in a quiet place, still, and I'm, and I can hear Sanskrit knocking on the door. All of a sudden, it's like, well, I haven't looked at it, but I go, it still seems simple enough to do. I will get there. So it's looking back, looking ahead. Say, okay, right now it's almost impossible to do that. If I was a more evolved person, yes, I could drive in a car and study my lessons, which would be nice. But yeah, I mean, when you're driving a car, I mean, there's nothing. You are still with your mind. So, when you're done with your mind, it's time to study. So, otherwise, just put on a radio for what? I don't. I do drive quietly. I don't have distractions like that. But I could not imagine, getting off the path permanently. Somebody would have to talk to me and say, be like a therapist.
Right. This is not the decision made by the outer means. It is the inner decision. It's like inwardly you suddenly decide that it is all rubbish.
Wow.
And it's like as if you're denying yourself your inner self or something, and you start believing in your outer self. It's like a suicide, spiritual suicide. So Yoga Bharashta, according to Sri Aurobindo, is the one who is consciously going away from yoga because he didn't succeed. It was very difficult. He didn't have faith enough. And so he decided that it was all rubbish, nonsense, some imagination. So now he can stop it and live normal life, finally. And Pavitra asked him actually about this. And he said, but is it really possible to do such thing? What would be the result of it? What would be the? And he said that actually we have a free will. We can decide. Any one of us can decide this. We can go away from yoga. We can be all yoga bharashtas. It is a will decision, or it's an inner decision of the soul. And but he says, if you are able afterwards to bear the consequences of this decision.
Wow, very powerful words. Can you bear the consequences of your decision? Can you bear the consequences of your decision? That's a very good statement.
Yeah. Hi,
Wow.
Juliet.
Hi.
Hi, Juliet.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year,
Bonne année.
everybody. Peace inside.
Right. So we are talking about yoga bharashtas today, about those who deviate from the path of yoga. And just now mentioned what Sri Aurobindo says, that we have a right, we have a free will to join the path, to follow the path of yoga, or to deviate from it. And for those who were far on the path of yoga, to say that it was rubbish is very consequential, to say the least. It creates a lot of difficulties which you later will have to face. Because the treasures you got already for yourself, yeah, you turn into the dust, as it were. And this action actually has consequences for you. So you will have to work hard afterwards. It is according to Sri Aurobindo, but here he says not so. But he has one strange word here, which is close to Sri Aurobindo, Shashvati Samah. Having reached the worlds of those who do good, and having lived with them for eternal years, Yoga Bharashta will be born again in the house of pure noble. So there will be certain consequences. It's not visible totally, because the translation, I don't even read the translation. Immemorial years. What is this immemorial years to live with them for Yoga Bharashta? It means a lot. You will be put with a lot of trouble and struggle and tapasya to come back to that path of yoga. Many people turn away from yoga. By the way, the mother's brother. You remember mother's brother? Her story, how they were walking on the bridge in Paris together, and mother was already the mother. He didn't know anything about her, and he didn't know anything about the divine. And then suddenly, on the bridge, there was a descent from above of the force upon him, and he heard the voice and light. You can be even as God. And he said, answer to it, to this call immediately. No, I want to serve the humanity. And the force withdrew.
Wow. Wow.
Mother says, he's just the fool.
Right.
No, he will never come back to that in this lifetime. You know, maybe in the next, maybe some grace, maybe mother will create for him a grace just to come back. But what he did was spontaneous, was true. Yeah, that means finished. So there are interesting things about this Yoga Bharashtas and decisions of going on the path and deviating from the path.
I like what you said earlier about you've been given, like the gold coins, but from the practice you've gained some treasures. Now all of a sudden you want to take those treasures from what you've done and just stop. But the treasures don't go with you. There's a consequences of receiving the gifts from your practice and then saying, okay, I'm not practicing anymore. Well, if you're not going to practice anymore, then all those gifts that you received in that practice, you can't take it with you.
Correct.
That's
or you worshipped devatas and you received knowledge and peace and light. And now you say that devata, that God, does not exist. Then what happens to all that you received and become?
right.
You turn it into the garbage.
Yes.
And then can you really later receive this light and knowledge again after doing that? It's very difficult.
I would think so. Yeah.
You will have to earn it much more. It's the same as suicidals, those who commit suicide. Why there is no solution for them? Because they just, in the state of disaster or despair, they do this act hoping that they will get out of the state, and they put themselves into even more difficult situation because the protection of the body is no more there. So they are completely naked in front of that disastrous anxiety or force. So now they will be really tortured, and now they will have to become much stronger than before. They have to do much more than before. So it's very similar to the same idea.
I agree. Yeah, very good.
So, having lived immemorial years with those good people, one Yoga Bharashta can be born again in the house of the noble and pure. Athava yoginam kule. Otherwise, one can be born in the house of the yogins, dhimatam, of the wise. Etadhi durlabhataram loke janma yadidrisham. And this birth is very difficult in this world, to come to the family of the yogis. That your parents are yogis, they are doing consciously yoga, and you are born as a child in their family. This birth is quite difficult and rare. I know a few people who are born in the family of yogis, and they are really standing out in a way, because they have all the support for their development.
Nice. Yeah.
Tatra tam buddhi samyogam labhate paurvadehi kam yatate cha tato bhuyah samsiddham kurunandana. Tatra, there he recovers the mental state of union, buddhi samyogam, the union with the higher mind. He will recover that, because that union which he had before and lost just withdrew and was waiting in the higher plane, but it is already, he's familiar with them, with that state, and he will recover that union with the divine. As it was before, Paurvadehikam, as in the previous birth. In the previous life he had this connection. Now he will recover it in this state. Yatate chatato bhuyah samsiddham kurunandana. And with this he again endeavors for perfection. Joy of the Kuru. So we will come back to that point from which we left. It will take years, maybe immemorial years, but we will come back to that point. We cannot leave it. So this is a good news, and also and sad news at the same time, that we wasted so much time.
Well, we can almost apply that to what we are doing today, in a sense, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Purvabhyasana tenaiva hariyate yavashopi saha jijñasur api yogasya shabda brahmati vartate. Purvabhyasana, by the former practice, by the former concentration. Abhyasa is practice or repetition. Tenaiva hariyate yavashopi saha. By that practice, by that routine, by that grooves, by those grooves which were created long ago, he will be carried again, dragged on in his life again. It will be remembered. It will be reassembled suddenly. Actually, it explains to me how myself, could come to yoga when I was 21. Who could come to yoga in 21? What kind of youngster would do yoga in 21?
Exactly.
And why? Why with this kind of insistence and with this, as if I knew what to do. I didn't have anybody. Just I found some exercises and started doing it, and it started to work, because it was as if I was familiar what is to be done. As if inwardly I always knew that the way to go. So So by that purva abhyasana, by that former practice from the previous life, yeah, he's irresistibly carried on. He cannot even resist that thing. It is natural to him. He thinks it is just as it is. You know?
Nice. That's a gift.
Well, it was a work before, and then it looks like a gift now. But most probably, it is all one process of growth of consciousness, which we are always engaged. So,
There you go.
hriyate hyavashah karma, hriyate hyavashopisa, kind of without his own will, he cannot resist it. He is dragged by it. And I remember that in my previous practice of yoga, it was for me difficult to come out of meditation. It is really, the difficulty was to forget that you are connected to that spirit. It was impossible to forget. The witness consciousness was holding me always alert and always attentive. And the whole body and the mind was tired from this, you know. They were not used to it. But I couldn't just reject it. I couldn't get away from it, you know. I was already trying to get away, and I couldn't. And that's why I'm saying that avashach is the one who is not in control, so to say, is not master of this process. He is dragged into it and cannot come out of it. He is possessed by this groove, as we are all a little possessed. Yeah? Jijnasu. And he's the one. Yeah.
I wonder if it's actually possession, or if that is the energy, and that is what we need to adjust our thinking to and operate, with. It's a more powerful energy, and then it's something so much stronger than you've ever experienced. But maybe that's the normal. You need to learn to operate with that energy.
Right. And well, to be possessed by the divine, there is nothing wrong. I don't mind being possessed.
Right, exactly. Yeah, bring it on, as you say. Right. I welcome it. Yeah, good.
You know, Sri Aurobindo, when he stopped meditating, because regularly, as his guru, Vishnu Bhaskar Lale, was recommending him, he asked him, do you meditate as I recommended? He said, no. But he said that meditation was going day and night with open eyes. He couldn't stop it. But his guru told him immediately, oh, then you are possessed. You are possessed by devil. And Sri Aurobindo said, oh, if I am possessed by devil, I am gladly giving myself to him. This is the recognition of the soul by whom you are possessed. You cannot see it from outside. You can know it only from within. It's very interesting to be possessed. Exactly what I remember. I was possessed for many years. I couldn't think anything else. I couldn't speak anything else. I couldn't even, all the time. It's all the time, day and night. I called it uninterrupted consciousness. There was no gap. There was no stepping away. There was no rest whatsoever.
Wow.
And it was so luminous and pleasant, but for the body it was too much. Your body could not. It was in trance of some kind. It wanted to forget itself. It wanted to fall into oblivion, to sleep. It wanted to sleep, to disappear, to rest. And this presence was not letting it. So this resistance and irresistibly dragged is very, very practical thing what is being spoken here.
Do you remember when that actually ended for you?
That irresistible this, it was going on and on for, I already joined the university, it was still in the university, then I came to India. In India it changed its flavor, changed its, I think it never stopped, it just changed and became different, became more conscious. Now I can forget as if, but I never forget, as it were. Because what else is there to remember, actually? It wasn't a memory. It is not like a memory. It's like a possession. You cannot forget it, even if you want to. It's not the type that you have to remember, because Mother and Sri Aurobindo give this formula, remember and offer, to the sadhaks. But that is where when you are not possessed. Then you have to remember and then offer. Remember. For me, remember and offer sounded very strange because I couldn't forget.
Right. Right.
Even if I wanted to. Wanted to because body wanted to sleep, to rest, to forget itself. So there are many levels. In the body, it's not totally ready because body is made of unconscious stuff. And that thing is very different from the body. So there is a clash, the clash of interests, or energies rather, energies.
Right. Right.
Okay, then prayatnad yatamanas tu yogi samshuddha kilpishach aneka janma samsiddhach tata tato yati param gatim. Prayatnat yatamanach tu, but the one who is aspiring constantly with endeavor, yogin, the yogin who is samshuddha kilbishach, who purified his impurities, aneka janmasam siddhach, succeeding through many births, aneka janma samsiddhach, tato yati param gatim, he slowly progresses towards the highest path. It's not an endeavor for one incarnation, for one lifetime. If we are to take with us our embodiment, our body, then we need longer time for the progress. But the yogi endeavoring with what is this assiduity? What is this? With a certainty, or with a how to say, forcefully, purified from sin, samshuddha kilbishach, perfecting himself through many lives, aneka janmasan siddhach, attains to the highest goal. Tato yati param. Then he comes to the highest goal. But there is much to do during this period. So, and then we are coming to the closure. There are 2 shlokas more. Shall we close this 6th chapter? And next time start with the Bhakti Yoga. This is the last chapter of Karma Yoga. But I would like one more lesson to review the whole vision.
I agree. Sure.
Of the Karma Yoga. We have to see it. Maybe we don't take these 2 because it's already one left until the end.
Okay.
And this would be a good hook for us to start reviewing 6 chapters. I want to review next time 6 chapters that we have a general idea.
Perfect. Okay.
happened.
Good idea. Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, then then we stop here for today. I will close with mantra. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhag Bhavet Om Shanti 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 Hari Om.